What's good? It's the Boilo's Crazy. It's the Crazy Riot Show, Crazy Talk Podcast. I am live every Monday night. You know what time it is. If you don't know, I don't know where you've been at. But I'm in a building with some very special guests. A friend of the show. He's been here multiple times for multiple different reasons. I have the legendary honorary Dr. Rudd is in the house. Clap it up for Dr. Rudd. Everybody's in the house. We're going to clap it up. And we also have the one and only Mr. Minorik is in the building right now. Doctor, excuse me, I'm messing up here. Dr. Minorik is in the house. And Dr. Rudd, we've had many discussions over the years.
Yeah, we have.
You've been a part of different cases, big profile cases here in Lake County as the coroner at that time. And even after the coroner, you still was involved with certain situations that was happening.
Right.
Just to give people kind of a catch up on what you've been doing since being the coroner, could you kind of give us a breeze through that?
Try to make it short.
Yeah.
After I left office, I was indicted. And they went after me because of 5 petition sheets that I did not witness the signatures. And what was interesting, we found out when we investigated, they hired somebody to do that and turned the sheets in. And then they decided to take this misdemeanor for doing that and making a felony. So I was looking at 10 to 25 years in jail.
Wow.
So I spent the entire 2017 to beat that rap. And we suspected it was phony. They didn't want to go to court. And I didn't want to take the chance because being honest in this county doesn't work. And so there was no way we were going to get a jury that wouldn't convict me. So I knew what they wanted. They wanted me not to run. So I asked them how many years. So in 2018, I settled for not running for 7 years.
Wow.
So as of March 14th of this year,
It's been 7
I'm
years.
running.
Right, coming up.
Okay, so I might as well break the news now.
There you go. There you go.
I decided to run against Brad Schneider. He's the 10th Congressional District House of Representative. And there are many reasons to run for him, but the one that bothers me the most, that out of 440 some House of Representatives in Washington, he's the 24th most rich individual.
Wow.
So since he got in, he's been using his position of power to sit on various committees, especially healthcare, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And whenever the government is going to spend monies on various things that these offices buy, he reports where the monies are going to his wife, and she buys and sells stocks.
Wow.
Now, on Wall Street, that's called insider trading. And if you do that, you go to jail. But it's legal in Washington.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay? And so I'm going to run against him for that because, let's face it, when you want some favors from a woman and you pay her, what do you call her?
We know.
We know. Now, what do you call a representative who you pay money to and get favors? Same thing. He's a whore. Okay? Most politicians, no, all politicians are whore.
Wow.
And somebody say, well, you were a politician. I wasn't a politician. I didn't take money from anybody. When I ran for office, I refused money. I used my own.
Yeah.
I was a public servant. There's a big difference between a public servant and somebody who uses his power to make millions of dollars, technically, legally, because the Congress allows it. But on Wall Street, you go to jail for many years. So I'm talking to the public now. I will need your signatures. You'll see me in September running around.
Yeah.
And saying, help get me on the ballot and let's see what we can do. Now, the primary will be in 2026, okay? And so we'll start in September, and if I win, I'll go against a Republican. So there's your announcement number 1.
Wow.
Okay? Wow. Okay. Now,
That's
number
pretty
2.
huge there, yeah.
Number 2.
Why, well, just to stay there just a quick second, why run for congressman? Why is that a big thing to do? I understand what you're saying with the things that he may have done, but why would you want to be a congressman, ultimately?
I want to get back into politics as quick as possible. Now, I'm not afraid to admit I'm 78. Okay, I'd like to run for coroner again, but that's not till 2028. So I can do probably more good in the House of Representatives because right now Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security is being attacked by Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, and I personally feel that physicians should be in charge of everything in medicine. Our CEOs of healthcare should be physicians. The head of hospitals should be physicians. These are the individuals that know how hospitals run.
Sure.
And physicians will not buckle and collapse for profit. Okay, unfortunately, medicine is becoming extremely profitable.
Sure.
And one of the things,
Healthcare in general is
correct. But here's the thing: everybody, Obama passed Obamacare, Affordability Act, and a lot of Republicans attacked it. I thought it was a good idea. It is still a good idea for the people who are on it. But the bad thing with Obamacare was the fact that they allow monopolies. Hospital monopolies. Those were illegal before. Now they're legal. And because of that, they can charge you whatever you want. And they're charging tons of money against people.
Wow.
Okay? And that's not fair, and we got to stop that. So that's the main reason. I want to get into Washington to help change the health care. I am Medicare for all. Brad Schneider constantly talks about what he's doing in Congress. He's not doing anything, but he will not give us Medicare for all, and that's what we need.
Wow.
So that's my main running point.
Well, again, I'm just very curious. When you were the coroner and then you see kind of the dirty game that politics plays, why aggressively go to a higher point in being a congressman? It seems it's interesting to hear it because it is kind of a it's a lot of stuff going on in politics now, but you said you basically want to clean out some of the stuff that's not going right in your mind.
Well, it's a more important field than the coroner right now.
Right.
Okay. I mean, when you're having Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security being attacked and reduced, I mean, you have right now the new congressional bill is so hard on these three entities that Republicans blocked the bill recently. A Republican from Missouri named Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
Actually, quite a bright guy. Not necessarily in our corner, but quite a bright guy. Even he realizes that his constituents are going to be slammed and hurt seriously because he does not come from a wealthy state. I mean, Missouri is not New York. It's not California. Okay, and there are a lot of people on Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And he's standing up for his people. I give him credit because the way the Republicans are running it, I mean, they can run somebody against them and crush them. Okay? But they're not.
This is just my own stupid opinion, question, I guess. Do you think the Democratic Party, even on a national level, is representing strong at this point? It seems like they're running kind of weak at this point.
The Democratic Party has been taken over by a bunch of assholes. Okay? All right? It's mostly women.
Okay.
All right. And they like to present themselves as progressives. Now, I will tell you one more very important thing. My college advisor was the second wave feminist. Okay, second wave feminist, and she was nothing like the feminists that are in the Democratic Party. They are not feminists. They are white supremacists. Female supremacists. They hate men.
Stay on him, Zach.
They hate men. All right? And let me tell you, 18 out of the last 19 shootings in school were single parent families, all women. Is that a coincidence that 18 out of 19 shootings in school, these kids came from single parent families, and they were all women, mostly white.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been taken over.
Wow.
Okay. And they're shoving crap down our mouth like men can have babies. That crap, transgenital women, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Democratic Party has lost its way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been a Democrat all my life. My grandparents were. I have a picture of Franklin Roosevelt in my room.
Nice.
Okay. I worked for both Dailies, Richard J. Daley and Richard M. Daley. John worked for him. In fact, I got the job from Richard J. Daley to head the absentee voter physicians. John got it first and then brought me in. So I'm a real Democrat.
You guys have been around a little bit. You guys have been hanging out, right?
Yeah. We've known each other since
12 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, we were in high school together.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, we were actually in a seminary.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but
Nice.
he left. I flunked pedophilia. So
That's tough. That's tough. This is not edited, by the way, guys. This is all. You keep everything in.
Catholics always told me sex was dirty, and I found out it was only if you did it right.
Oh, man.
Okay, so
That's tough. That's tough. You had a second announcement for us on the show.
all right, this is more serious, and John's going to be the gentleman who fills us in. And I must say, let me preface it so none of us get indicted.
Yeah, please don't indict me.
Or killed.
Or killed.
A lot of what we're saying are allegations. But we have some personal experience regarding these allegations.
Gotcha.
All right. We have a state's attorney who likes to call himself a Democrat. And this is my preamble. So what does he promise? He promises Melissa Kalazinski is going to be worked on and let out of jail for the false murder she was accused of due to my autopsy. We won't get into that, but when I got into office, I did an autopsy, proof she didn't do it.
Gotcha.
He stabbed her in the back last July. He went down to Springfield when she went for a pardon and told the board not to give it to him. Okay, number two, Melody Glinowitz, the wife of that crooked cop, all right?
I remember that, yeah.
Maybe our public doesn't know about it, but let's just say that this cop was stealing money and he killed himself before he got caught. His wife was in on it.
I was in Round Lake, right? Something like that. Out west. Fox Lake. Gotcha.
They indicted her in 2015. She delayed any court battle until about 2 years ago, where this current state's attorney, and I call him Ryan Fart, lets her plea from 15 indictments down to 1, 2-year probation, good girl. She's now collecting her husband's pension. Let me repeat that. This dirty individual is collecting almost $80,000 a year from her crooked husband's dealings, in which she was handling the checking account. All right, we're done with that. Stinnett gets murdered by a cop in Waukegan. The state's attorney's sitting on it, doing nothing. You know why? Because he's trying to talk him into a manslaughter charge in which he'll serve no time in jail for killing a young man who was not the one driving the car.
Now?
Yes, he's trying to work out a deal with the cop for manslaughter in which he'll serve no time. Okay? All right? Let's see what else. Darren Hanna, long time ago. Many of our listeners probably don't remember. That's what got me into office. He was murdered by a North Chicago cop. The autopsy said they didn't know why he died. I got into office, and the family collected. One more thing. There is an individual named Abel Rosales, Jr. He was killed the same way 1 month after George Floyd in Round Lake Beach.
Yeah, remember
They
that.
put him down, face down. They sat on his chest. He aspirated a bag, allegedly a bag of dope, went into his lungs, and he died. Okay? Say what you want about the dope. You leave that kid alone. He doesn't aspirate. He doesn't die. You caused his death. No matter what law he broke, you killed him.
You weren't the coroner at that time.
No, but but better yet, the family called me in with another pathologist. We did a second autopsy, and we proved that the first autopsy was a cover-up.
Wow.
And we presented the data to this state's attorney and to the current Democratic coroner, and they refused to act on it. Now, again, we're going to get to the meat of the matter.
The big one.
The big one, and nobody wants to cover this. And these are allegations. The state's attorney, I'm going to give a little preview, John. The state's attorney had a gentleman in his office that he brought in 2020 as the head of ethics. He was an attorney. He was also an opioid abuser. And he gave opioids illegally to a car repairman who became addicted, got divorced, lived in the streets, dropped over in his mother's house, brought to the hospital, died with the death certificate listing opioid usage, and no autopsy was done, which is against state law.
Wow.
Now, I'll let you fill in as to what happened to the attorney.
Well, this man that he's talking about, that's an opioid abuser and became the chief of ethics for the Lake County State's Attorney's Office. I lived with them for 4 years.
Wow.
I know she had a big bottle of opiates, disappeared quickly. He said he had a condition called erythromelalgia, and I have about 20 or 30 pathologist friends and buddies. They never heard of the disease. Dr. Rudd never heard about it either until I told him. It's basically sweaty feet. But he had to take opioids for him. And it was not clear whether there was a doctor's name on that bottle or if I got him off the streets. He admitted to me, I am telling you, I will tell people under oath, he told me he was also sharing these with our mechanic, Richard Zand, who died of a fatal opioid overdose. My concern is that when I notified the state's attorney that he's talking about, that his chief of ethics was a junkie and a drug distributor, I was a little bit relieved when I found out a few months later, Dr. Rudd has the timeline, that he fired him. But it is not clear if he is knowledgeable, like we are, that he shared this with a man who died of a fatal opioid overdose, and the state's attorney and or coroner, whatever they did, refused to deal with that. So my concern that I bring with you tonight and to your TV people, we are concerned that the current state's attorney may be covering up a homicide. Okay.
Yeah. Let me interrupt you and just say this.
Did I get it accurately?
Pretty good, John.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Allegations, ladies and gentlemen.
Allegations.
Allegedly,
Okay.
ladies and
Okay,
gentlemen.
we don't want to be
All right.
shot.
There you go.
But here's something else to fill you in. All right. So John has. Let's back up. Mr. Zan died in May of 2022 or 2023. Okay. And John alerts the state's attorney on his Facebook page or on his
He has a
corner?
Facebook page,
Or-
and I just gave him a message
He said, "Do you realize you have a drug dealer on your
that gave opioids to
right?"
this man
And
who
so
died.
John alerts him after Mr. Zan dies. And I said to John, "He's not going to do anything." Well, we find out from other lawyers that are hanging around that this individual, a state's attorney who was addicted and also handing it out, all of a sudden in late 2023, rumor has it that he's seeking drug treatment. He comes back in late 2023, really late, like just before the first of the year, and around that time voluntarily retires. So it just happens to be the year 2024 where the reelection of Reinfeldt occurs again. So is it coincidence that John alerts the state's attorney's office he got a drug dealer? Is it coincidence that this guy undergoes allegedly therapy for a month or more? Is it strange that he comes out of therapy, but he's not good enough to work for the state's attorney's office? So we assume that he retires. Okay. And more importantly, when you have on an autopsy death certificate a statement as part of the cause of death being due to opioid usage or abuse, that's a mandated autopsy.
Yeah.
Why didn't the coroner do an autopsy? I'll tell you why. This is my opinion. Because when I was a coroner and I labeled I had to label a death certificate as opioid usage, I had to do an autopsy. Now, when I did that, I had to turn that information over to the state's attorney. He investigates an opioid death to see if it should be a homicide or was it an accident.
Gotcha.
All right?
Gotcha. Now you're bringing it full circle
So
there.
I
I
work
get it.
with the state's attorney, and
Okay.
he's telling me, oh, I got to investigate this. And he comes back
Because you can
to
be charged for an induced
murder.
homicide,
A murder.
murder.
A
Yeah,
murder.
yeah, gotcha.
So he's going to find out, well, is it just a bunch of kids that bought some dope on the street and, they mixed some fentanyl in it and these two kids dropped dead? Well, whoever gave it to them, if they could find out who it was, they'd go after him. But most of the times they can't, so we have to label that as an accident.
Right.
But now we know of an individual who's handing out drugs to the mechanic and he dies and they don't do an autopsy. I'll tell you why I think I think they didn't want an autopsy because they would have to look into Mr. Zan's opioid abuse and find out where he got the drugs. And you know when you go into the street and you start squeezing some dope addicts, and if this person is getting the dope from the street, they're going to rat your ass out because they don't want to sit in jail.
Right.
So they might rat them out, and then the state's attorney would be mandated to investigate. His lawyer working for him, and he didn't. So we think it's a cover-up, and we think it needs to be investigated by the feds.
Wow. Playing devil's advocate, what do you say to someone who says you have an axe to grind with Eric and with the state's attorney, and you want to kind of put him in some mess? What do you say to those people?
I really have no axe. He hasn't done anything to me.
Me neither.
I mean, I'm just asking him to be the lawyer he claims to be.
Do his job.
Yeah.
Don't cover up homicides.
Yeah. Let me tell you a story. Let's look at that Highland Park massacre. Okay. We now know the kid did it. Okay, and he went on him and he put him in jail. But he went after the father. Now let's discuss that. I'll try to make it quick. This is what the kid did. He was underage. He went to dad, and he said, I want to get a gun license. And dad signed a certificate, okay? And ultimately, it goes to the Illinois State Police. It's them who make the decision on the gun license.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you where they failed. This kid, like a lot of kids when they're teenagers, are in trouble with their own parents. How many kids haven't said, I'm going to kick your ass, Mom, or I'm going to kill you one day or something like that? So he was
I've
threatening.
never said that, but I feel
well,
it.
I said it, and that's why I have a fake tooth. Dad didn't like it.
Yeah.
This kid had a record of police being called in for threats. No violence, threats. So he had a list of threats. And they got to the Illinois State Police. And they issued the license. Wow. And all of a sudden, rumor has it those sheets disappeared or they didn't use them. But it was the police. Now, why didn't they indict the police? Why did you go after the father? Now, more importantly, this kid was 18 or 19. He didn't do the shooting till almost 22. So for 3 or 4 years, this kid did nothing with that license and or guns when he got them. And yet you indict the father and you make his life miserable. Let me ask you this.
As if he was a minor at the time of the crime.
That's right. He shot people as an adult. But let's use another example. They went after the father within 3 or 4 years. What if it was 10 years? Would you go after him after 10 years? What if he shot somebody 20 years later? What if dad was in a nursing home? Would you indict him? No. It has nothing to do with time. It has to do with who's at fault. And it's the Illinois State Police who should be indicted. And there are civil lawsuits that are now going after the Illinois State Police by a lot of the survivors, proving my point.
Wow.
That this dirtbag state's attorney did it just because people pushed him into doing it. He has no hair on his balls. Okay? He's still waiting for the testosterone.
Just interject for a second here. I think you might remember a little phrase that we learned in civics class, and we believed our whole life. It's called, we're innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
That kid's father went to jail before the kid even appeared in court.
That's a good point. That's
Innocent
a good point.
until proven guilty.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm finished.
Wow.
So we think somebody needs to look into this.
And you think that the state's attorney went after the father in place of going after the state police?
Well, he was pressured. He was pressured by the community. The community was upset. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I mean, they were upset, obviously upset. I mean, they're upset. So they wanted to get an ounce of flesh.
There you go.
Okay, but they picked somebody that was easy. It would be very hard with the state police. Besides which, the state police are under J.B. Pritzker's control. So you'd be essentially embarrassing the governor by going after his state police. Okay?
Dr. Rudd, give me a little bit more clarity
Yeah.
on the state police's involvement. You said it, but give it to me again so I can
right.
get it clear.
I didn't bring my wallet. I'd show you my gun license.
Yeah. I got one too. It's
Okay, all right.
But I know it says Illinois. Yeah.
So the father fills out a form, and he puts everything there that's supposed to be there, and he submits it to the police.
Gotcha.
The police make the ultimate decision on whether to issue the license.
To the father.
No, to the kid.
For the son through the
no,
father.
the father just signs off on it.
Gotcha.
Remember, you're an adult at 18.
Gotcha.
You can get married. You can go in the Army.
Yeah.
You can drink.
That's it.
All right. You can get a gun at 18. So dad says, yeah, I don't see anything wrong. Obviously, they have problems with the kid, but no arrests, no violence, okay? Just a little bit wacky, okay? So the state police look at the case. They had the records of the police coming to the house for various threats by the child. They knew about it, whether it was written or verbal, but they had something on file.
Gotcha.
All right? And I'm sure they've disappeared. I wouldn't doubt that they covered up. I mean, they do it here in Lake County, and I don't see why not, state police. So, and more importantly, he didn't act on it for almost 3.5 years.
Yeah.
So why are you blaming the father? Okay? And again, what if the father, it was 10 years down, like 20 years, or in a nursing home, you got to drag his ass and put him in jail?
Yeah.
Okay? It was a retribution. The community was hurting. In fact, there is, I don't know if it's on video or, CNN did a report. And they actually asked Reinfart, are you going to indict the father? Or what are you going to do about the dad? He signed off on it. And he says, and I'm paraphrasing, it's not exact, there's nothing in the law that says I can go after him. But when he got pressured, he found the ability. Just like my petition sheets were against election code, not criminal code, not civil code, election code, that they criminalized it under felony.
Wow.
Okay? And they want to put me in jail. And that's what they did with him.
You may remember a guy named Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes.
He was the king of one-liners. He had this little joke that his football team in high school was so tough that after they tackled the quarterback, they'd go after his family too. And basically that's what happened here.
Yeah.
Wow. And again, I love playing devil's advocate just to give the idea, to hear your response. I think at that time the state's attorneys was under insurmountable pressure to deliver something, as you said, the pound of flesh for the community. Could you understand him trying to get as much of that flesh as possible, even if he went out for the parents, as you say? Could you, even though it sounds like it was maybe a little illegal, I don't know, but could you understand that he wanted to get some type of bigger response from the community being?
Well, let me answer that. I would say if it was me, I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Okay? When Glitowitz shot himself, the police wanted me to call it a homicide. I mean, homicide. They squeezed me hard. They issued a press release saying I jeopardized this case.
Wow.
That I wasn't doing my duty. And I didn't buckle. And in fact, we're going to talk about that quickly too. So what saved my ass was John Cass of the Tribune, who wrote an article saying these MFers are trying to push the doc into a fake diagnosis. And they collapsed.
Wow.
They collapsed. The cheat Falenko, this 9/11 operator who became head of the Major Crime Task Force because he was a little puppet that they could manipulate, all right, was told, make this guy a hero. They knew about it. And more importantly, everyone gave me the credit. Glad to take it. But it was really the FBI. Because after 2 weeks investigation of G.I. Joe, they knew what it was.
Yeah.
And they kept quiet for a month as they did the investigation. Then they called us all in, and they looked over at the crime task force and said, the doc's right. And if you guys don't play ball and call it as a suicide, we're going to out there in about 3 minutes and announce your arrest.
Wow.
That's how they collapsed. But the one thing the FBI wouldn't do is they wouldn't pursue the case because we found out that G.I. Joe Glinowitz was running drugs and selling firearms and Army equipment to the gangs of Lake County and McHenry County.
Wow.
Because there were too many important politicians involved with them. So even the FBI backed off.
Wow.
Okay.
It's a
Carlos,
cold case
as a
conspiracy.
pathologist, I've known many forensic pathologists too, coroners, people that worked in the medical examiner's office. And every single one of them, no matter how smart they were, no matter how well trained, how brilliant their diagnosis, if they didn't give the police the diagnosis that they wanted, they were either in big trouble, threatened with jail, Dr. Rudd, or fired.
Wow.
Every one of them. Every forensic pathologist I know has that problem.
Wow.
You know, Carlos.
And you have that trend, though. I want to say that too. You do. It's the big social cases happen, and at the time you were the coroner for I think 2 or 3 of them, and I felt the pressure because I remember being around at that time, especially with the police officer, and you went in the opposite direction of what they wanted you to do, and I didn't know the details at the time.
Yeah.
But whenever the diagnosis came out, I'm like, wow, that's not what they said it was, and you're saying it was that.
No, I don't know what it is. I can't remember the name of the movie, but there was a movie of science fiction that one of these Martians or whatever came from the Earth. If you fell asleep, they had a pod in your bedroom, and then it ate your brain and it took you over. It seems like you get elected, and all of a sudden you have to change to do what whoever is in charge tells you. I remember I was causing problems when I first got in because I took the Hanna case, and because I changed the diagnosis, the family got almost $4 million.
Yeah.
I took the Kalazinski case, and we had 2 shows on 48 hours. The state's attorney, Nierheim, and George Falenko looked like crap. And so they started saying, well, we need to communicate a little better amongst the elected officials, basically trying to browbeat me into playing ball with them.
Why not play ball? Why not?
I wasn't raised that way. Okay? I mean, you can't. The truth shall free ye. Okay? The truth. Look, physicians are scientists as well as clinicians. We believe in theories and theorems. That's how we treat you. X plus Y equals Z. Do this, you cure the patient. That is called a truth, a theorem. That's a truth.
Yeah.
So anything we do to treat you is based on science. Science is truth. Math is truth. That's how we were raised. I'm not going to.
It's not a social experiment. This
I'm
is
just not going to.
ironclad fact.
I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. Okay.
Wow.
Nor will he. Okay.
Wow.
That's why he gets in trouble.
Wow.
Okay. And so, I can understand what you talked about in terms of the community, because everybody I talked to wanted this father punished, and when I tried to explain, as we did here, they just didn't listen. No, that's not. No, he needs to get punished.
What ended up? Did they let him go, or what happened?
No. They took him to court, and he pled to a guilty plea, and he spent a month in jail.
About that much, yeah.
Oh, one more thing before we close.
Yes, sir.
This dirtbag state's attorney, Ryan Farden, put Clyde McLemore in jail for 17 days because he took a picture in court while working as a reporter for What's Happening magazine. Stuck him in jail.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
What? You put him in jail? You couldn't fine him? You couldn't warn him? This big, brave, 5'2" state's attorney put this guy in jail for taking a photo? They almost put him in jail for taking a photo at the Cremo case, but he was taking a photo of the outside of the building, and they threatened him. Okay?
Wow.
They accused me of being an instigator and knowing Dr. Rudd.
I mean, this is childlike.
What do you think the temperature is on you if you had to take an assessment on the outside community, from Republicans, Democrats, politicians, whatever. Running for congressman is a huge thing. Brad is a pretty popular guy around here. What do you think the temperature is of you going into something like that?
Well, I don't know if the temperature is the right term, but they hate honesty.
Oh, yeah.
They hate honesty. Okay, I asked some reporters when I was going through the crisis of being indicted. By the way, I spent over $100,000 to defend myself.
Wow.
And not one Democrat came to my aid. Not one. Lying Lauren bitch trash didn't do it. Rat Fink, Senator Rat Fink, Mr. Brave Man gets caught.
But you're running as a Democrat for this time. And
I'm a real Democrat.
You're a real
They're
Democrat.
They're not Democrats.
Gotcha.
Trash isn't a Democrat.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, Brad Schneider used to send checks to his friends in Ohio or wherever he's from, Republicans. He's cutting checks to Republicans. Okay, they're not real Democrats. Okay, they're fascists. They're people who come out of a closet once a year for a light bulb. I mean, they're worthless. Okay, they're all about power. Okay, shoving it down your mouth. You got to call people a certain way. They, them, him, she, it. Okay, what the hell? Did you know you're cisgender? Okay, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You like women, you're cisgender. Did anyone send you a letter?
No, I didn't.
Okay, to tell you that?
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to gather that. It's all BS. Okay,
Yeah.
it's all BS. It's all power. Okay, and look, I don't know if I told the people before. I went for pardons twice because I thought being a good Democrat. Oh, that's how I found out. Let me see. I went for pardons twice. Twice, I got I didn't get a response until I attacked J.B. Pritzker on Easter Sunday at Justice Howell's anniversary, and I used some bad language. And I had been waiting for my pardon for like a year or more or less. I can't remember. And it got back to him. So what did he do? He signed no on my pardon on the day on the day of the Howell gathering where I criticized him. Okay, so what I found out was I did some investigation, and it's proven that lying Lauren bitch trash and Senator Smelly Bush blocked me because I wasn't a woman. They wanted a white woman, a white so-called progressive woman. Instead, we got a bedpan cleaner and sponge bath specialist. Yeah. Okay, all right, and no training in forensics.
Have you always been the way that you are? No, I'm seriously curious.
Since he was 12.
Since he was 12, he's always been the same guy.
When I first met him in high school, they warned me about it. I was afraid to meet him.
You know,
I'm not so much afraid now.
Yeah.
You know, we're old enough to have grown up with Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
most of our crowd doesn't know that. That's all theater.
Yeah.
It's all theater. Look, are you gonna play nice with these bastards? No. Call them what they are, okay? Because they're going to crawl under their rock. So if I make them uncomfortable by calling them names, good. I'm glad they're uncomfortable, okay? Right. Will I win against Brad? I don't know. Probably won't, but it'll be a lot of fun
Get a hell of a
talking
try,
about it.
huh?
It'll be a lot of fun exposing them, okay? And again, I'm not taking any money from the public. It's all going to be mine. He's going to be taking money. You get millions and millions of dollars, okay? Because he's a political whore. You pay him money, and he does you favors. Well, I'll do you favors, and you won't have to pay me any money. Who do you want? Save yourself some money, and I'll do the favors if it's the right thing to do.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And we'll work on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security.
He got millions from APAC.
Right, and I am definitely anti-war, okay? I mean, John will tell you, I was known as a badass. I beat people up because I was big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good question for you. Why not run as an independent?
Because you got to get 10 times the votes.
Gotcha.
Okay, so remember, I resigned as from the Democratic Party ticket for corner and ran as an independent. Instead of needing 800 signatures, I needed 10,000, and I got almost 15,000.
Wow.
And they still threw me off the ballot.
Right.
Okay.
There's no part. The only reason why I asked that is because you seem to be kind of crushing some of the Democratic heavy hitters in the region, and you're not looking for the alliance. You're not looking for an alliance from these current Democrats. You're trying to just trailblaze with the new.
That's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, would it help? Sure, it would help.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you still can go on the ground. Look, when I ran in 12, I wasn't a Democratic candidate. Terry Fink didn't want me. Rat Fink didn't want me. Okay, he wanted some cop who was a serial fornicator, and I beat him. In fact, I still remember the day Terry Link walked into the headquarters and couldn't believe it, and was playing with the computer, seeing that I beat the guy.
Wow.
Okay, but let me just say one more thing. So I asked the press, why don't I get any support from the Democrats while I was in office and when I was indicted? And they, almost to a person, said, "You're too dangerous. You're too honest." That's number one. Number two, because of your honesty, the public knows that, and you might run for a position they want.
To keep you out
How
the game.
can they run against you when your background is that of being an honest individual?
Dangerous.
Okay? They can't handle that.
Wow.
Right? I mean, there are very few out there that I can count on one finger. The only Democrat I respect is Rita Mayfield.
Me too.
That's it.
Shout out to Rita Mayfield.
Right. I mean, that's it.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Talk to the people and the camera, man. What's your last message to the camera, to the people running for congressman? What's your last message to the people?
Sign my petition starting September 1st. You'll see Drac out there and Mary, forgetting her name now.
More?
What is it, Greg?
Miller Lane.
Mary Miller Lane will be out there. Drac and Mary Miller Lane will be getting
Gotcha.
signatures. So
Gotcha.
vote or sign it and then vote for me.
There you go.
All right?
There you go. Oh, well, I appreciate you.
And
Go ahead.
look, always be truthful. It's the only way it works.
Don't lie, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate these two guys coming through. Dr. Rudd, Dr. Minorik coming through always. Again, Dr. Rudd is a friend of the show. This is his, I think it's fifth appearance, something like that. But that's the Crazy Riot Show. It's Crazy Talk Podcast. The Boilo's crazy. If you knew better, you'd do better. Need two sweaters. Want to give a shout out to my sponsor, The Closet Space, located 2700 Sheridan Road, right in Zion, Illinois. We got an event this Saturday. It is going down. Make sure you guys are tuned in for that. See you guys next time, next Monday. It's the Crazy Riot Show. It's Boilo's crazy. If you knew better, you'd do better. Need two sweaters.